Hey, happy Whiteboard Wednesday. I hope you're having a great Wednesday. I hope you're ready to get some knowledge. Let's rock and roll. Today, I want to talk to you about your hands. Now, we get a common question on your hands. All the time, people are coming to us and they go, hey, how many fingers am I supposed to have on my hands? I'm just kidding. That's not what we get at all, man. What we get is people ripping their hands. You do not want to rip your hands. And a lot of people think it's cool to rip their hands, or they just think it's the status quo, or what should happen with their hands. Now, why would your hands rip? Well, maybe you're playing with this thing up here. Maybe you're doing a lot of gymnastics. Maybe you're grabbing the rig. Let's talk about how we want to do that. First off, when you rip your hands wide open, usually the palm of your hands is for friction. So usually what's happening is you're deep in the workout, or you just started a really advanced movement that you've never done before. Anytime you're grabbing the rig, you get really tired, you're swinging all over the place, and bam, blood everywhere. You don't want to do that. So it's important to understand that ripping typically happens when you're really, really tired, or if you're trying something new, because it's dynamic and friction where you're just moving all over the place. So we want to eliminate both of those things from happening. The first thing that I want you to do, so anytime you're grabbing the rig, if you're using the rig for anything, whether it's a pull-up, a toe to bar, knee raises, you're just hanging there, you're trying to get better at hanging on the rig, that's awesome. I want you to do a false grip. So typically what happens is this. Okay, I'm just gonna grab the rig now. Well, if you do that, your hands aren't in the best position for you to be successful. You're probably gonna rip because your position is not very strong, so it creates a lot of friction. A false grip is when you take your hand and you reach around the rig like that. Notice how deep my wrist gets. What I'm really doing is I'm flexing the wrist over the rig. So I'm not going like this. I'm not just grabbing here. I'm taking my wrist and getting my knuckles over the rig, so I see that flex or break in the wrist. That is not easy at all to do. But when I do that, I can pull up to the bar better. I can transition over in a muscle up. I can use this position on the rings for a better pull. So instead of grabbing here, I don't want you to do this. I want you to do this. So you're gonna try to get your knuckles over the rig. That's extremely important. That's called a false grip. Number two, I want you to take your thumb and close your grip. Too often we leave the grip open. If you leave the grip open, all you're gonna use is your fingers. You're gonna use your fingers, they're gonna get very tired, and you're not gonna have a very strong grip. If you can close the grip, you will then be able to use all the muscles in your forearm. Your grip will typically stay in one spot, and again, you won't have all that friction. So it looks like this. Most people do this. I'm gonna grab the rig, they leave the hand open, and it looks something like this. So I'm not in a very strong position to do that. You want the false grip, fingers, thumb. Now see how my thumb comes over my first finger? That grip is not going anywhere. No matter how much I try to swing, my grip is now stable. What that will allow me to do is do my movement, a pull up, a toe to bar, a knee raise, just hanging there, whatever. And it allows me to eliminate friction, but I can then try to do the movement that I'm trying to do. I'll have a whole bunch of power and I'm not gonna rip my hands. Now the next step, once you've developed a really good grip and you can take away the friction, is now you need a baseline of strength. So strict movement is always gonna be your best friend. When you wanna get dynamic movement, like something really fast, a whole bunch of kipping pull-ups, a whole bunch of chest to bar, a whole bunch of muscle ups, knee raises, you wanna do something really, really quick in a workout and you're ripping, what you wanna do is not go backwards, but I want you to take a big deep breath and I want you to practice a lot of strict movements. So if you're ripping on pull-ups, you should probably do a lot of strict pull-ups, more so than trying kipping pull-ups. If you're ripping on toe to bar, you should probably slow down and practice straight leg raises, very, very controlled. If you're one of those people that can do all those crazy muscle ups, that's awesome. Try strict chest to bar, where you pull in your chest touches the bar without any swaying or kipping. Try a strict muscle up. I want you to think strong. That's actually where strong side got its name from, was that in most of our movements and most of our efforts, we need to revert to strength and making sure that we have a strong enough base to do the thing that we want. So after you fix your grip, after you get your knuckles over and your thumb around, you got it really solid there, and you go, man, I sure want to get better at pull-ups. Great. Get better at strict pull-ups. I want to get better at toe to bar. Great. Get better at strict toe to bar. That foundation of strict movement. So like before you try to do kipping pull-ups, you should really have a base of like 3 to 5 strict pull-ups, meaning that's like normal pull-ups per se, where you hang from the rig and you just 1, 2, there's no swinging, and you can pound out like 3 to 5. That's when you should probably start thinking about kipping, not necessarily hop up there, swing all over the place, go get it, and then that'd be your first pull-up. You don't want that. So I want to talk to you about ripping your hands. You shouldn't do it. I'm not saying it's not common. I'm saying that the goal is not to rip your hands. You want to eliminate friction and build a baseline of strength. You want to get your knuckles over, close the grip. That's called a false grip. That's how you eliminate the friction. And then build the baseline of strength so when you do the dynamic movement, you're not slipping and tearing the hands. All right, so happy Whiteboard Wednesday.